Agenda is pretty simple, right? We'll talk about RCS merge, why we are doing it, what exactly we are doing, and when we will roll it out. We will do several demos and more deep dive discussions on different topics, different areas of this project, cover some resources and recommendations of what you can do and leverage this project, right? And we will have enough time at the end for Q&A. Okay, so now let's go with the first topic, right? Is why we're doing this project, what exactly we are doing, and when will we roll it out. So first of all, what is RCS? RCS is a regulatory configuration service, and it's used as a standalone designer and lifecycle management service for our globalization functionality, such as electronic reporting, electronic invoicing service, tax calculation service, right? And it provides support for setup, deployment, and also what we call ALM, Application Lifecycle Management Story, for publication, storage, and sharing of custom configurations and features in global repository, right? So key few things here, that this is a standalone service, right? It's based on AOS technology, right, on our F&O, Finance and Operations platform, right? But it's deployed separately, right? So you see, again, you don't need all those details, right? But you just know, right, if you used RCS, right, that it's provisioned separately, right? And it's deployed by us separately, right? And we connect to Finance and Operations instances using connected applications, right, to get the metadata and also to publish our globalization features for example, tax calculation service or E-invoicing service, right? It's quite flexible and powerful architecture, right? But it also has several issues, right, which we are fixing and improving with this project. So what exactly, why we're doing it, right, and how we see these improvements. So as I mentioned, RCS needs to be deployed separately. So now when we merge RCS and an invoicing service to finance, you don't need to do this, right? So basically all the acquired functionality is available within finance, right? So you as a customer, right, or a partner, just deploy the finance instance, right? Whatever environments you need, right? And you will have this Globalization Studio workspace with RCS functionality there, right? So it simplified deployments for you. It's also obviously simplified deployments for Microsoft. We simplify user interface. As I mentioned, with connected applications and separate RCS instance, right, we need to know how to connect to F&O, right? We need to provide this URI to F&O instance, right? So we can't do full testing, for example, of our configurations, right? Because we don't have data, right? So basically in many cases, you would need to switch from F&O to RCS and back, right? To do end-to-end setup and validation, right? So with this merge to finance, right, you don't need to do it anymore, right? So you have just one finance environment where you can do this full-blown setup, right, configuration, validation, right, of all the required functionality. So basically, yes, setup, validation, deployment are simplified, right? Again, in deployment, as I mentioned before as well, right, you need to deploy this globalization features from RCS instance to finance instance, right? Now you don't need to do it because they are available on the same finance environment just by default. Also, as we are going with finance terrain for deployment, right, we align our geo coverage, right? So some of you may know, right, that for RCS, we did not cover all the regions where finance was deployed. Now, obviously, this gap is closed. All the regions which are covered by finance would be covered by Globalization Studio Workspace. And we fully are using all the platform capabilities, right? Because we are not a separate instance, right? We're on the same platform, right? As all other finance functionality. And a bit new, right? Because we kind of replaced global repo approach with database solution, right? But we are providing similar functionality, right? Which we provided via global repository with database solutions. And by doing this, we are aligning our application lifecycle management, ILM, with Power Platform Story, which you may know as like One Dynamics, One Platform, right? So we're fully a part of this work stream, with important work stream, which allows our finance customers and partners to leverage the power of Power Platform. So again, what we are doing, right, you may guess already, right, we are merging this regular configuration service functionality into Dynamics 365 Finance as Globalization Studio workspace. So ILM is moving to database solutions from global repository. And we are moving away, think about electronic invoicing service from the concept of service environments, right? So basically, as of now, we just use the current environment of finance from which the call is getting initiated. So what we're doing now, right? We're in public preview for Tenor 39. So as you know, Tenor 39 is in public preview now, and is planned to be GA'd sometime mid-March, right? And we are from this train, right, on Tenor 39 train. So we would GA this Globalization Studio workspace in Tenor 39. And with this, we plan to stop new RCS environments provisioning. Basically, what we are saying with this is that as soon as Tenor 39 is available, right, we want our customers and partners to use Globalization Studio workspace in Tenor 39 instead of RCS. Again, I mentioned new RCS instances, right? Obviously, if you have RCS already, right, and you need it, right, for your business scenarios, right, we are not shutting down it immediately, right? So we plan to do it by August 1st, 2024, to give you, our customers and partners, time to migrate data, right? And we have a lot of like tools, right, for our services to do this migration, right? And make sure to listen to any feedback, right, which you may have, right? Any gaps which may occur, right? And assuming that we haven't found any serious issues, right, we plan to fully shut down RCS, meaning stop existing instances as well, and stop new provisioning by August 1st, 2024. And again, obviously, right, there could be exceptions, right? There's some like urgent needs from customers going live, right? And all these cases can be covered by support request, obviously, right? But we assume, unless we find some major issue, right, major gap, that this would be just a few, right, of this service support requests, not a lot of remaining environments. I would like to add one thing here, right, because I got this feedback from customers and partners several times, right? If you think about electronic reporting functionality and, for example, business document management functionality, nothing is changed with this project, right? So electronic reporting, business documents, all the functionality, designers, runtime is staying the same. So besides this ILM story, right, and this RCS scenarios, which are on top of electronic reporting, right, or leveraging electronic reporting configurations, nothing is being changed with this project. It doesn't mean that we would not change something going forward, obviously, right? But as of now, right, like if you used electronic reporting in finance, you continue using it, you would not see any difference. And we don't expect any issues, any bugs, whatever, right? Because we did not really touch electronic reporting with this migration. Just to make sure that like you don't have this concern, right? Because I heard it several times. Okay, and now, Ekaterina, if you want to cover tax calculation.
Yes, thank you, Mike. So for tax calculation, as a part of RCS, it has undergone the similar changes. So in terms of what, we are also merging to finance and the Globalization Studio workspace, right? However, with this move, we are not changing user experience for tax feature configuration. It remains unchanged. And from installation perspective, we made additional change to eliminate the step of TCS add-in installation. So you won't need to install it in for tax calculation service. And in terms of why we are doing it, of course, we want to simplify our deployments as well. Also, we'd like to remove the tier 2 environment limitation and also enable our on-premises customers to use tax calculation service capabilities. And with this change, also we simplify enablement of master data lookup, which actually takes quite a few steps to enable it currently. So as terms of when, it's already in preview, and we are trained in 10.039.
Okay, when we talk about overall like deployment, like I say, installation and setup of our functionality, right? There are additional steps which we need to do for ILM, right? Application lifecycle management. As I mentioned, right, we are relying on one Dynamics, one platform approach, right? And we acquire Dataverse linked to finance instance for our scenarios to work, right? Basically, Dataverse is a prerequisite which have to be available, right, for ILM story to work. But we want to, again, simplify most of these things, right? So, for example, all this like globalization solution would be available in customer and partner environments, right, by default, right? So standard Dataverse channels, right, of publishing them and updating all the instances. So technically you can install it yourself, right? But in majority of the cases, it would be there already. And you need to enable this integration, right, between Dataverse and finance and operations on Dataverse side as well. But again, I would assume that if you were using Dataverse already, right, you did it before. And then the standard steps, right, you just need to obviously enable our merge features, and we'll talk about it later, right? I'll show you what features needs to be enabled if they're not enabled already automatically, right? And then you can import configurations through Dataverse repository and start using them in the system. And the last step is very similar to what we had before with global repository, right? Or if you remember, some of you who know electronic reporting well, what we did before with lifecycle services, asset library. And again, as I mentioned, this if you know our LM story, it's based on the concept of repository, right? And we used global repository, right, recently, right? And now we are leveraging Dataverse solutions, right? And from the FNO perspective, right, from electronic reporting perspective, we just added new type of repository called Dataverse, right? And all the functionality which is available there, which was available for Global Repo, is available in Dataverse repository as well. And now let's go and do a couple of demos, right? So again, as I mentioned, let's start with Dataverse enablement. Basically, again, it's very simple. You just need to go to settings in features, right, and enable one toggle box. That's basically it, all right? So after that, you need to enable several features, right? And we have the list of these features here, right? again, just make sure, right, that they're all enabled, right? But again, it's if you, for example, you don't need tax calculation service, obviously you don't need to enable it, right? Or e-invoicing, right? If you don't need invoicing, you don't need to enable e-invoicing feature. Or just have this video so you can reference, right? All of these features here, right? And then a quick demo of actually Globalization Studio Workspace, right? And the ILM story, right? As you see, we have configuration provider Microsoft is the same, right? And you see, right, if this parameter is not enabled, right, basically we show this info log, which tells you, please go ahead and enable this parameter, right? So just in case you forgot or you did not watch this tech talk, right, actually it's hopefully self-evident what you need to do. And then I just enable it, right, and then I see everything here, right? So all this filters, right? All the functionality which we had before is available here, right? It's the same form. You're just using actually the DTVS solution as a source to get all these configurations. And we, as Microsoft, would be kind of pushing and publishing all these configurations into your DTVS environments automatically, right? So you would not need to install it manually, right? Unless like something urgent and is happening. And again, it's other than that, all this functionality is pretty standard, like for electronic reporting, right? So now I can just go to electronic reporting workspace, and you see, right? I got this new model, a new report, and that's basically it, right? So from the FNO perspective, right, FNO side, there's a new repository, DTVS, and again, it is added automatically to the form, right, as you go in there first time, right? You need to enable this parameter, right, impersonalization in DTVS, and then everything should start working. And now I would like to give the microphone to Anupam to talk about e-invoicing service feature setup.
Hi, everyone. So in the first slide, we are basically representing the changes that are being carried over from the current RCS experience to the new Globalization Studio experience. As you see, we will the features related to service environment, connected applications, and user setup will go away and will not be carried forward to the new Globalization Studio experience. The remaining features related to number sequence, keyword parameters, or globalization feature will be available as is. And same is the case with the finance setup related to electronic documents feature, electronic invoicing, and integration channels. Just to summarize, especially for users, we'll now be relying back on the authorization that has been provided by default in FNO, so no separate user setup is needed. And the other changes related to connected applications and service environment, which Mikhail earlier already touched upon. Mikhail, can you move over to the next slide? Okay, so this in a way represents the changes in the UX when we move towards Globalization Studio. If you see in the upper part of the section, that represents the current experience in RCS. Within that, the two menu items for connected applications and environment setup will go away. And there will be a separate tab for electronic invoicing within Globalization Studio, which can be used to access and design globalization features for electronic invoicing service. Mikhail, can you move to the next slide? So in the current slide, we'll cover a small demo. It contains of two parts. First is the finance setup. So this bulk of it is the same experience except for now company level setup for context. There are slight changes in the environment setup now. So what will happen is the experience for keyword setup will move within finance. The overall experience will to a certain extent remain the same. Okay. Next, we'll move towards globalization feature setup using the new Globalization Studio. So there also the experience remains almost the same. If you see, you can import the existing feature published by Microsoft to the database repository. I'll just show a small demo of a sample implementation which contains just doc generation from Electronic Invoicing service. So if you see, the feature setup experience is almost the same in line to the current experience that you have in RCS. If you see, there is a slight change in the deployment experience. Now we are there will be no option to publish the feature to global repo as we move towards the database repository. Based on the customer feedback, we have done some changes in the deployment step. If you see now, the deployment is much more seamless. It's more of a performance change happening under the hood, which has made the deployment experience much more reliable and fast as compared to current experience.
So now I'd ask Ekaterina to talk about tax calculation merge highlights.
Okay, so here are some highlights for tax calculation merge project. So in feature management in finance, you will have globalization features enabled. Also, the enable globalization feature setup for tax calculation service feature will be enabled by default and set to mandatory state. And this means for you that in version 39, you will need to use tax calculation feature in the finance in Globalization Studio workspace. As I mentioned before, we have introduced a new feature for simplifying the use of lookups while tax feature configuration. And instead of going through like a series of complex steps for setting up the lookup functionality, now you can just simply enable applicability rules value lookup for TCS feature. So for the migration process, so when updating to 39 version, there will be a backup job to migrate tax features from your RCS environment to the Globalization Studio workspace in finance. It will be run automatically, and after it's completed, those features that were selected in legal entities in tax calculation parameters, they will be visible in the tax calculation features page under the Globalization Studio workspace. So also you can restore additional feature versions that were migrated from RCS but not selected in your legal entities. And to do this, you can use the newly introduced Restore Tax Calculation Features button to open the page where the migrated tax features versions, and you can pick those that you would like to restore. Again, automatic batch job will be scheduled for this process, and once it is completed, the restored features will be available in the tax calculation features page. Also, you can delete the not used feature versions. However, please be aware that this deletion process is permanent, and you won't be able to restore them. So, and if for some reason you realize that you still need those features, you'll need to export them to JSON file in your RCS environment and import them from a JSON file in your finance environment. This capability remains almost the same. So for tax feature publishing, there are also some changes. Previously, you had to complete the feature version and then publish it. And in this case, it will be visible for selection in tax calculation parameters. And now you just need one step, just completing feature version. And so in Globalization Studio workspace, you just need to complete the feature version to make it available in the tax calculation parameters feature list. In RCS, starting from version 39, feature publishing process will be blocked for you, and you will need to use Globalization Studio workspace to work with your tax features. And this behavior actually controlled by the prevent tax calculation feature publishing in RCS feature in the feature management in your RCS environment. If you still need to publish features through RCS, you can disable that feature and proceed with publishing of features from RCS. But please be aware that those features won't be visible in your finance environment if you have already upgraded to 39 version. So actually, that's all for the highlights that I'd like to mention about tax calculation merge. So thank you.
Okay, so let's just go quickly through a couple of slides for do's and don'ts and resources. So do's, right? So please, with 1039, start using Globalization Studio Workspace for any globalization service and tools needs, and obviously give us feedback, right, as soon as possible if something is missing, something is not working, because this is the way forward, right? This workspace in Globalization Studio is our approach to manage globalization for F&O going forward, right? And also for existing setups, please make sure to finalize and enter invoicing service environments in finance before enabling feature invoicing service workspace design, right, for migration. And don't, right, unless it's really necessary, right, with 1039 J, please don't deploy new RCS instance, right? Use Globalization Studio Workspace, right? So we, as I mentioned, we would be migrating, right, RCS, right, to Globalization Studio Workspace with the goal of shutting down RCS August 1st, right? So unless you really need RCS for some business needs, just use Globalization Studio Workspace going forward from 10.39 J date. And some additional resources, all right? So we have documentation for RCS merge, right? We have electronic invoicing service documentation. We have, again, if you want to know more and learn more about this Power Platform and Dataverse integration, right, with finance and operations, right? There's a couple of links which we have here, right? And also we have an upcoming tech talk, and very soon, actually, all right, in a few days, which would talk more about tax calculation updates for 2024, right? So if you are interested to learn more about the cool things which we are doing for tax calculation service, please join this TikTok. It would be delivered in 2 days, February 27 and February 29. Okay, so that's it pretty much for our content, right? So now we can go to the Q&A. From question from Kevin, right? Going from top. Do we have documentation links available on how customers can participate in the public preview? Again, this is public preview, basically like you deploy 10.39 and we have these links like on RCS merge, right? This functionality is available there, right? So like all you need is 10.39 and Dataverse, right? Integrated with FNO. Other than that, everything should work. So question from Mark, will this also remove the tier 2 limitation for electronic invoicing as well as TCS? So yes, I think we have these answers from Susan, right? So yes, and we covered in our deck as well, right? So for TCS, this tier 2 limitation is removed. So customers can use TCS in T1, 2 starting from 10.39. And for electronic invoicing, like answer from Aman, right, we still require tier 2 environments, right? Question from Gary. How does the Globalization Studio workspace leverage the existing tax codes and rates configuration in the default FNO model? I know, Susan, do you want to maybe cover it? Probably I can read it, right? So tax code and rates are defined in Globalization Studio, and they will be synchronized to existing tax code rates form. So it's the same in RCS, and you just don't need to do any setup in RCS, right? So basically, now, right, you just do it in FNO Globalization Studio. Yeah. There are multiple questions about data migration. The summarized answer will provide at the end in the Q&A session. Okay. So I don't know. Do you want to cover it now, or I think we can cover it later, right? So,
we can cover it now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think the question was mostly about electronic reporting configurations.
So I think the question, and then I think that then it's probably, let me, because it's not like, it's, I think the question is that it's about global IPO, right? And what we are saying, right, so that from the global IPO perspective, right, I think it's, there's no like migration per se from RCS, right? Global IPO configurations, right, you need to like export them, right, and you can publish them as Dataverse solutions. Everything which we did for Microsoft would be published as Dataverse solution as well, right? So we like you can just take them from there, right, and use it, right? Again, and everything which is stored in the environment, again, there's no data migration here, right? Because everything, right, that is in your environment, right, is there, right? So there is no, let's say, nothing is changing in runtime, right? So what is happening that from like global API perspective, I think like probably this is the question which we have. This means that we will have to make the format adjustment in each environment again, and not centralized adjustment providing like it had been RCS. You can use Dataverse solutions for this as well, right? So again, as I mentioned, right, as of now, right, we use Dataverse solution as a mechanism, right, for LM, right? So basically, we are doing it for Microsoft, right, and we have a way to do it like for customers and partners, right? We documented it, right? You can create your Dataverse solution files, right? And just create this Dataverse solution. And then after that, like using the standard Power Platform functionality, you can move it to other environment, right? Or potentially you can even publish it, right? On app sources, if you, for example, if you're a partner, right, and want to share it with the customers. We got some feedback actually on the like usability of our current approach, right? Because it requires some manual steps for you to export the files, right, and pack them, right, as a database solution. So we are considering now improvements in this area, right, to do it like with one button click. So I think I can share more details, right, if when we finalize our plans, right, and for engineering of this functionality, right. But going forward, right, our approach for ILM, right, and sharing configurations is through Dataverse solutions, both for Microsoft and for partners and customers. Okay, so let's go forward. I think there are a couple of related questions. With the move with connected environments and service environments, will there be a means of cleaning or moving links to production Azure Key Vault when copying to a sandbox? An answer from Aman: yes, the reference to the Key Vault and the SAS token secret in electronic document parameters would be removed while copying over for production. So Microsoft Learn Get Started documentation, for example, electronic invoicing for Poland, is now available with setup RCS. When it will be updated? Oh, so Ilya, we already published it, right? The first version, right, which is great. And I think, again, we obviously would be like improving and increasing our documentation coverage, right? Because obviously we have like from using RCS and Global Repo, right? We already have documentation for merge, right? And what I mentioned for E-invoicing, right? It would be extending and adding more examples, tutorials, right? Which would be referring to Globalization Studio Workspace versus RCS and Global Repo going forward, obviously, right? But the main like part of the documentation, right, is already available, so you can read and use it. Is the feature available in 10.38 as preview and will the update is in QUs? I would say actually it is available in 10.38, but as a private preview, right? So basically what we did, right, we did a private review with selected list of partners and customers in 10.38. So basically, yes, functionality itself was available, right? But it was closed by flighting, right? So customers on this one get the update till 10.30. So we can, like, it's a good question, right? We can consider kind of enable it in for 10.38 as well, right? So for this specific customer, right? Because again, as I said, right, we won't make it obviously publicly available 10.38, but we can work with customers, right? Because again, we did it already for private preview, right? So we can enable this functionality for 10.38 if needed for specific customers, right? For 10.39, it's a public preview, which means that it's available for all customers, right? And basically, you have it in the product, right? In 10.38, right? Code is available, right? And actually features are available, right? But they are hidden by flighting, which we can enable for specific customers. And again, what answers this question again? What is going to happen to existing configuration ER? And this nothing. And I think I want to repeat this question. Nothing would happen with ER runtime or ER designers, right? With this project, right? So electronic reporting is staying the same, right? And everything which you have in your environments, right? All your configuration would be working, right? So nothing is changing here, right? And we did not, let's say, change anything in electronic reporting in this area, like no improvements, no changes at all, right? So everything should work till the same as it worked before. What happens if a client environment is not on version 39? Again, we would need to work with these customers, right? Because again, like from the migration perspective, right? Again, this August date is defined again when you should migrate to 1039 or later using our current policies, right? But again, I understand. I think we all understand that there would be different situations, right? Some customers would not be able to do it, right? So we will decide it on case-by-case basis, right? So if customer has some important deadline, which like for their business, right, which doesn't allow them to migrate to 10.39 or later by August, and they need RCS, we'll work with these customers, right? And we can prolong RCS for them, right? But my point is that what we want to achieve that this will be done case by case, right? So if customer needs it, right, and we understand the reason for this, right, that it's really like they can't move, right, even if it's not against the policy, right, for moving to the new update, right, then yeah, we'll obviously enable this environment to work for some time, right? But it would be done again as on case-by-case basis. Will it be possible to access database tables as electronic point data source directly within FNO? Good question, right? So this functionality, like from RCS, right, is not available as of now in FNO. There is an idea, right? So which you probably know, right, to enable electronic reporting, work with database tables, right? And please vote for this idea, right? And again, as I mentioned, we are not changing AR here, right? Both from the negative way, but from the positive as well, all right? So we are not enhancing AR, right? So this like RCS functionality, which was needed for, again, RCS-related scenarios, right? It's not available in FNO as of now, right? With this project, right? It's not available, right? And AR is not changing with this project. But I know about this ask, right? I know about this feature, and I fully understand the importance of this feature, right? But if you have not voted for it before, please vote for this idea, right? And it's something that we obviously consider in our roadmaps, but unfortunately, as of now, I can't provide more details for this. Wouldn't it be more convenient for clients to have RCS available longer? 5 months to August is short. Again, as I mentioned, this is our current plan, right? So obviously, we would respond to customer and partner feedback on this. So if we see that it's really like a longer time is needed, we will prolong it. But having said that, right, again, what we probably, hopefully, demoed and told you before, right, we are not changing runtime, right, for like AR, invoicing, tax calculation service. So the most important part of the business, actually, running your business, running your tax calculation, you're sending your electronic invoices, right, or payment files, whatever, right? So these things are not changed, right? RCS is mostly setup and design experience, right? And we believe that we have the parity for all the needed scenarios in Globalization Studio Workspace. So yes, if we will see, again, obviously we may be wrong, right? And there may be some gaps and issues, right? If customers, and we see that customers can't move by August 1st, obviously we'll move the date. But as of now, and again, we did some private preview with customers and partners. We don't see any big gap, probably beside, as I mentioned, this improvements in ILM, more on UX side, right, with database repositories, database solutions, which we are working on now, right? But again, things can change, right? And obviously, if we see that get the customer feedback, right, that they need more time and we understand why, we'll consider it. I think there's a question electronic invoicing for like for Tier 2, right? Yeah, with no change, right? We still require Tier 2. Yeah, and yeah, they're available in 10.39, but they're flighted, these features. When I'm trying to connect to the database repository, get the following error. I know, send the mail to me, right? It's my last name, Filatov, m@microsoft.com, right? Because there was some issue, I think, on database side a couple of weeks ago, I think, which I believe was fixed, right? About this API, right? So if it's not fixed, just send me a mail, right? So we'll have a look, right? Because I know about this issue, which was like, it was something on database side with this API, but my understanding that it was fixed quite a long time ago. Like a couple of weeks or something. If it's not the case, then we will investigate and like talk with our Dataverse colleagues as soon as possible. What happens to TCS features that aren't assigned to a legal entity in finance? Can they be recovered or are they lost forever? All TCS features will be moved to all environments. Only active features will be stored automatically to Globalization Studio. All right, so basically, go ahead, Susan.
Michal, maybe for TCS, there's a lot of question regarding for the migration. So I'd love to overall answer, maybe not limit for this question.
Okay.
So in case you still have a question, then please populate because there's a lot of duplicate questions. So here's some points. The first point, starting from 35, we actually starting to migrate your features and the configurations for TCS. So don't be worried if there's not too short time, your data won't be lost. All your TCS features will be migrated to FNO environment. But in case you don't have any FNO environment, then you need to export all your features for backup. So this is the first one. The second one, starting from 10.0.39, we will stop the RCS publishing. That means you cannot publish from RCS but in case you still have environment which under 10.0.39, then you can turn off the prevent publishing in RCS. But the publishing features will be working for environment. Those are under 10.0.39. So for those features that if you still want to use in 39 environment, then you need to continue to use the export from RCS and then import in FNO for 10.0.39 because those publishing features won't be available in FNO. And the third point, starting from 10.0.39, when we say text calculation feature will be prevent, it doesn't mean that you cannot configure text features. It just means that it will make your life easier. So you can start to configure text features inside FNO directory. You don't need to publish anymore. You just configure in FNO environment, complete it, and then you will be starting to use those text features in the text parameters directory. And in case you need, for example, if you finish the testing in Sandbox, and then you need to use the same TCS feature in production box, there were two ways. One, which is mentioned by Michal already. So you can create your own Dataverse solution and then share between environments. And the second solution, it's similar as ER configurations and the text or E-invoicing feature that today function. So you can export from the Sandbox environment and then import into the production environment. Then you can share in between this data. Okay. And then the fourth point, so those text code or text rate which inside the today's text module, the behavior will be the same as before. So we will still synchronize the text code and text rate from text feature. And then the runtime of TCS working exactly the same as before. And then fifth question about the T2 environment limitation for TCS, it's gone from 10.0.39. Yeah, that's all for TCS. Yeah, thank you. Michal, back to you.
So basically, what does a custom error configuration and story? Yeah, development is done, you're right, in customer environment. And basically, you would need to create a Dataverse solution, right? And use it after that, right? So basically, as of now, right, you would need to manually, right, export the configuration, right, and zip them into the Dataverse solution, right? We have a script which is provided on the in the documentation. We are looking at the improving this functionality to make it similar, right? Kind of what you say, upload like it was with LCS, right? It's something which is in our roadmap, right? We're getting this feedback, right? And I will share more details as soon as we have them now. As soon as we have them. Are there any plans to move the Indian invoicing functionality into here? Yeah, so as of now, earlier answered, right, we're using electronic messaging, right? So I think that, yeah, from this one, yeah, does this mean all finance and SCM environments that want to use a database app must have a database? Yes. Yes. Basically, again, we assume they connect to database from another environment. No, you need to have a connected database, again, one Dynamics, one platform, right? So it should be one-to-one related. Will there be data entities for the new elements related to TCS and electronic invoicing? So yeah, we can use import export for this, right? So we don't create any new entities. Is there a possibility to have electronic reporting changes in source control using Globalization Studio? I'm not sure I get this questions again. Nothing we are not if it's doing any changes in ER, right? So as of now, right, yeah, we don't have this functionality. And again, let's not pollute this with ER questions, right? So I think that, as I mentioned, right, so we are not extending. If you never activated the RCS, just want to know how to use calculation service user. I know it's probably something to follow up on with our tax PMs, right? But I don't think it's relevant here. I used RCS for configuration for BDM. I import the base version in RCS, create correct version to use connected tabs. I then build and configure my DN template, complete and export to XML. What you need to do right here, right? It's you do all these things in finance, right? In the background, you would have all the ER configurations created for you automatically, and basically you don't need to export import anything. Then what you need to do, you again need to export this configuration, right, and as a database solution, right? So this is only the last step is changing, right? All steps are kind of changing, but I would say the previous steps are improving in a sense that you don't need to push anything, you don't need to create connected tabs, right? You work in your FNO environment, right? And ER is doing all this versioning, created those version in the background. Okay, I think we are out of time, right? And I think it's good that we have a lot of questions, so this topic has a lot of interest, right? So again, you have my contact details, right? So you can send more information here, right? And maybe going forward in some time I will do some refresher on electronic reporting